How would you like to come painting with me today? All right, I think we found our spot. I'm gonna try and find the most interesting angle and also think about, where the sun's coming from, because it's coming from the left over there. So I think maybe something like this where it's not gonna get in my eyes. There are a lot of bugs this morning, so forgive me if my camera shakes. Hopefully they start leaving me alone pretty soon. They might be a little more active right now because the sun hasn't quite hit its full intensity. Here's hoping. This is my overall setup. I've got my watercolor palette. I've got some water cups, a bottle of water to fill those up. I also have an extra bottle of water to stay hydrated because it is Florida. I've got my main painting sketchbook down here. I've got a scrap piece right there to test colors before they go on to the page. I've got some paper towel to wipe my brushes clean. And then I also have some brushes. So I've got some sable hair brushes. Those are the silver tipped ones. And then I also have some synthetics. I definitely like how much these sables absorb water. That's something that you definitely want to keep in mind when you watercolor paint. You want your brushes to be able to hold a lot of water, because otherwise you're going to be constantly dipping back and forth in your palette. So I'll show you my palette as well. My palette opens up fairly nicely. It's got a ring on the bottom so I can put my finger through it. It keeps it steady. It's got these unfolding lips here for mixing, and then removable magnetic cups for your paint. So I've got Winsor and Newton professional watercolors here. If you go with Cotman, that's fine, especially for studies. But I like to use the real deal. So because they have stronger pigment, and in the long run, how much pigment you use from the Cotman sets in order to get them to be as pigmented as the professional, you'll probably go through them a lot faster and spend the same amount of money in the long run. So I've got basic colors here, a couple different blues and some Payne's gray. I've got a couple different yellows, cad orange, some ochres and umbers. I also have some reds, cad red, and I believe it's alizarin crimson and pyrrole red. And then we also have some white gouache paint, titanium white. And when I mix this in with some of my other colors, it'll make them a bit more opaque. So anyway, I'll get to painting and we'll get going. So I think to start off today, in order to properly capture this, I'm gonna start blocking in the large sections of the lighter greens. Think about the areas that I want to maybe leave a little light, because it's much harder to work backwards unless you're using gouache to get those lighter colors if you've already put down the darks. Something to always keep in mind when you're painting. So I've started laying in some of that very light green just to get the overall basic shapes in, focusing on particular parts of this, trying to get the overall feel of the palm fronds and the direction that they're splaying. Next up will be adding in some darker values and maybe some of the warm yellows and ochres to add to the edges. I've started adding in some of the ultramarine to get some of those shadows, very lightly, very thin. Gotta let it dry a little bit. The paper is starting to buckle, but that's okay. Gonna let it dry a moment, and then we'll add in some more details. All right, I've added in some of those warmer tones, and even used a little bit of the white gouache in with some of the green, and started adding that into the image. You'll see that as I go along, the the brush strokes end up either pulling forward or falling back, and that'll keep changing until the image is done. Essentially going back and forth between the different values and focusing on shading areas and slowly laying in the darker areas where they're the most dark is a bit of a dance, trying to make sure that I'm not laying in the colors where they don't belong. This also becomes challenging. You want to paint fast because the light is changing, especially at sunrise. So trying to make sure that I capture the likeness, at least to an extent, paying attention to how the light is reflecting on the palm fronds, and making sure I replicate that in a way that makes sense. All right, so I had fun with this. Gonna call it finished. It's just a study. It's not perfect, it's loose, it's messy, but it got me out here and got me to play around. I definitely had fun, and yeah, it's nice being able to come out here and enjoy the beauty of nature. Is it a perfect piece? Absolutely not, but that's not what I was aiming for. I was looking to just get myself out here, enjoy the day, enjoy some painting, and get some fresh air. So, mission accomplished. I highly recommend doing the same if you're able. You don't need fancy paints, you don't need fancy canvases. You just need a sketchbook, some watercolors, and a beautiful day, and you can have a great experience. Tune in next time where I'll be painting something else. Thanks for being here. Bye.